Hey y'all, what's up? My name is Coral. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a story time about why I hate Frontier Airlines, and if I have something to do with it, I will not be flying with them ever again. Obviously, if it's out of my hands, then I will do what I have to do, but if I have a choice, I will definitely not be flying with them. Basically, this is all about Frontier Airlines and my horror story and why I don't like them. So let's set the scene. So when I was traveling using Frontier, it was during the holiday season. I was traveling to Georgia to see my family. I hadn't seen them in a long time, and I was just going for a couple of days. It was just me going. My husband wasn't coming just because of like our financial situation at that time. It just made more sense for me to go by myself. So I had bought the ticket through Frontier. Now, mind you, I currently live in San Antonio, and getting a flight out of San Antonio to go anywhere is like crazy expensive for some reason. Like the craziest prices ever. I'm talking, I've never got a flight. I don't think I've ever got a flight below $250. And that was to go somewhere within Texas. Every flight that I've bought, I think to Georgia, I once spent like $600. And then I'm not sure about this Frontier flight. Maybe it was like $300 or something like that. I don't remember the exact price, but like I said, I was going for a short amount of time. My financial situation, I needed like the cheapest flight I could find. And this is during like the holiday season, like around Christmas time. It wasn't exactly Christmas. I think it was before Christmas or like the week of Christmas. So I got to the San Antonio airport. The San Antonio airport is really small. If you've ever been there, it's really small. It's really hard to miss your flight out of that airport. You have to be late or something. And to preface this, I always, because I'm flying military, and somehow I haven't learned how to link my military to get the TSA pre-check when I buy my tickets. I haven't learned how to do that. I always end up needing to get that when I get to the airport. Like, I don't need it, but like I like to have that. It's just convenient, especially in busy airports. I get to the airport at San Antonio and I asked the person at the desk to help me, and there was no one in line. They helped me and they were so sweet, and they were like, yeah, and we upgraded your ticket, which was really nice. Like, they didn't have to do that. Obviously, it was still like economy or whatever, but they had upgraded it to a closer seat to the exit, which was really cool. And so up until that point, I'm like, okay, Frontier is awesome. Like, I don't have anything bad to say. I get onto the plane. And I've never flown on an airplane where they didn't have like Wi-Fi at all. Only way you could have Wi-Fi on this plane was if you were some kind of like member and stuff like that, and you had to have that before you got on the plane. I didn't know that. So I got onto this plane expecting there to be Wi-Fi, and there wasn't Wi-Fi. I had no songs, TV shows, movies. I had nothing downloaded. The only thing downloaded was like 3 songs that I had from uploading those to YouTube videos. I had those 3 like non-copyrighted songs. One of those I don't even think has lyrics on it. So I listened to those 3 songs on repeat while I'm just sitting in the airplane. Okay, so there was that. The person came around with the cart on the plane, like for snacks and stuff. And she came around and was like, oh, would you like anything to like snack or drink? Normally when I'm on the planes, I get a Sprite. So I was like, can I please get a Sprite and like some pretzels? And she goes, okay, well, that's gonna be X amount of money. And I was like, you have to pay for the snacks? First of all, you don't have Wi-Fi or snacks. That is a little crazy. So I literally felt like I was on a bus in the sky. Like, I'm just, like leisurely. I think it was like a 2.5 hour flight. So I'm just like, okay, hopefully I fall asleep. I get to Atlanta and I get picked up by my family, and I have a good time, like good couple of days. And then the day rolls around where I need to leave to go back to San Antonio. I think my flight was at 6 a.m. Yeah, I think it was at like 6 a.m. or 6:30, right? My family wakes up. We wake up at like 3 a.m. in the morning. We start driving to Atlanta. They dropped me off at the airport. I think I got to the airport at like 4 to like 4:20 is when I got to the airport. Flights at like 6:30. So I'm standing there, right? And I think that like I'm in the waiting area for Frontier Airlines because it has like the 4 lanes and then the check-in where you drop your bag. And I start to see people going further down. And I was like, oh, so I stood in this line for like 10 minutes. No one had said anything, right? And they're like, oh, actually the line is down there. And I looked down there, the direction that they had pointed. And so down there was, the line was wrapped all the way down to where they put the extra bags that people come and pick up when they have overflow of bags to pick up, like the baggage claim. So this line had covered all of the lanes for the bag drop, and it had wrapped all the way down to a whole nother side of the airport where they had like baggage claim, like carousels. That's where the line was at. No employees had said anything. They had employees for the company like walking around and stuff like that. No one had said anything. So then I was like, you know what? I don't even care about the TSA pre-check. Like, I'll just get my ticket on the kiosk, drop my bag, and go. Because I thought like the line was people who needed to wait and talk to someone from Frontier Airlines about something. So I was like, oh, I'll just go to the kiosk. I go check the kiosk. All of the kiosks were closed, completely shut down, not operating at all. Every single kiosk was not working, right? So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just keep waiting in line. So I go to wait in line. First 20 minutes, we don't move. Keep waiting in line again. More people get behind me. I asked the lady in front of me, you know, how long had she been there? She had been waiting for like 40 minutes before I got there. So I was like, okay, well, this is weird. No one gave like a, hey, this is what our wait time is right now. Hey, this is what's going on, all this stuff, right? So I keep waiting. I was already at the point of waiting like an hour, getting really anxious. And the people behind me are getting anxious. The people in front of me are getting anxious. We're all talking like, what time's your flight? What time's your flight? Like, this line isn't moving. What's going on? We're all just standing there like literally freaking out, right? And so as we're freaking out, I finally like find an employee, like one of the Frontier Airlines employees that's walking around. And I was like, hey, this is what time my flight is. I've been here for an hour. And it like, I just want to know, am I going to make it to this line? Like, about my flight and everything. I can't miss my flight. And she goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. Should have got here sooner. And I was like, well, I got here 2 hours before my flight. And she goes, well, you should have got here sooner. You should have accounted for that. And I said, okay. And she was very, very, very rude, like very rude about it. I'm so anxious at this point. Like, I'm on the verge of like losing it. I'm so just starting to get emotional. I go back to where I was in line and everything, and I'm still waiting there, still waiting. At this point, it had barely moved. You know, like maybe 4 people had gotten through the bag drop. And I was like, this is so crazy. I called my sister. I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it through the bag drop. I'm stressing out. Like, I'm starting to get emotional. I think I'm going to miss my flight. She's like, no, you have this much time left. Like, don't stress. You'll make it through. And I was like, no, I really don't think I'm going to make it through. Like, the employees aren't really telling us what's going on. No one's moving through the line. I take a picture of the line. She's like, oh, like, how long has that line been like that? I was like, the whole time I've been here. 40 minutes before I had to make sure my bag was dropped to get on my flight. And make it through security. And if you've ever been to the Atlanta airport, the security at the Atlanta airport is really bad. And this is the main reason I wanted the TSA pre-check, because the Atlanta airport is bad. If you don't have pre-check, you will probably be waiting for 45 minutes to an hour in the line at the security check. They start saying, oh, if your flight's leaving at this time, come outside. And we're having people drop their bags outside at the little desk outside. My flight was at one of those times, so I go to the outside check-in. The line out there is long too. The line out there was like, had already had 10 people in front of me. So I stand in this line, and then this guy comes in line behind me, an older guy, and he starts stressing out, and he's asking me what time my flight is, and we were on the same flight, and he had a connecting flight from San Antonio to go to like somewhere up north, like New York or something like that, New Jersey. He was going to a funeral, right? And so he was like, the funeral is literally like first thing in the morning. I felt really bad for that guy. Obviously, I need to get back, but like this guy, this thing is not gonna, a funeral's not gonna wait for you. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of people with anxiety. And then these people in the line behind me, they pretty much got told that, because their flight was before mine, they had got told that, oh, you're not going to make your flight. So then they started calling people up, oh, if you were on this flight, you already missed your flight. So you need to come up here now to get your new flights. And so I saw all these people go up there, right? And I started seeing people pull out their cards and stuff. And I thought, that's weird. You know what I mean? Like, why are they paying? I just thought it was so weird. But I was like, oh, maybe there's a situation. Maybe they didn't pay for, like, I don't know. Maybe they're paying for their bags or something because they're overweight or something. I don't know what they're paying for. So I see all these people pull out their cards and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's weird. So when I get up there to the desk, it had already, like, my flight was taking off. When I got up to the desk, she's like, no, your flight's gone. And I was like, okay, is there any other flights? So she starts, like, looking up flights. And when she looks up the flights, she was like, oh, well, we have one flight and it has a connecting flight in Colorado, which was a red flag to me because I was like, a connecting flight in Colorado. Like, I'm going to be stuck there. It's going to be I'm going to be stuck there because of the weather. I'm just going to get stuck in Colorado. And then the layover, crazy layover. It was like a 16-hour layover. So then I think I would have been flying out on Christmas Eve, but they had been canceling a lot of flights because of the weather. It was just a crazy, like, thing that they had offered me, right? So that was the flight that they had offered me. And I said, okay, I'll take it, you know, whatever, I'll take it. And she starts telling me, okay, well, it's going to be X amount of money. And I was so confused because I was like, well, I paid for my flight. And they said, well, it's not our fault that you missed your flight. So you have to pay for a new flight. And I was like, what do you mean it's not your fault? Like, you guys had all of these lanes blocked off. Your kiosks weren't working. You had all of these crazy lines. All these people behind me missed their flight. Like, I just don't understand how it's starting to be all of our fault that we all missed because we've all been here for hours. How can we calculate to be here for 5 hours because y'all don't have, you know, the proper means to get us on our flights? And she was like, well, it's just not our responsibility. Like, super rude, super, like, rolling her eyes. And I was like, you know what? That's crazy. That I'm not paying for another flight. Like, I should get another flight. I shouldn't have to pay for another flight because of the situation. So she pretty much told me that I could go to the back of the line and decide. So then I go to the back of the line and I literally call my family and I start crying because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And my mom was like, just find a flight somewhere else. And I was like, I can't afford a flight anywhere else. Like, I can't afford to pay for another flight. I don't have a couple $100 sitting around to pay for another flight. Like, I spent it on this flight. Had money, but that was to pay for the bills that were going to come out of my account. And I needed that money to pay for just, like, necessity things that I needed. I didn't have that couple extra $100 to spend on a whole nother flight. And my mom was like, you know what? Like, I'll pay for the next flight. Like, I just find a flight and I'll pay for it. And I felt so bad, but my mom literally paid for my next flight. I found a flight at American Airlines, and, you know, the flight was at like 8. And so now we're like at 6 or 6:30 because that's what my original flight was. And so I was able to check my bag. They were so nice. They took care of everything. And I go to get on my plane. I know a lot of times airports are very direct and very, you know, like, it's not our fault. But I personally feel like this situation was a little bit their fault. I understand you have to be early to flights. I understand, like, 2.5 hours early, maybe sometimes even 3. But there were people that were there before me, an hour before me, with flights after me, that missed their flights because of that situation. If you don't have a single kiosk open to allow people the opportunity to be self-sufficient and get what they need to check their bag, or have a lane for people who already have their boarding passes. Like, there was people who already had their boarding passes in line. They were in line. You can't tell me that people were there that much time and it's their fault. Like, no. Then I started to do my own research and stuff, and I realized Frontier Airlines overbooked so many flights. As I began to tell a bunch of people that I knew about my situation, so many people had similar experiences where they had to rebook a flight, pay for another flight, or even weren't even offered another flight because there were no other flights out from Frontier Airlines. This is a huge issue from the airlines, and I want to push this out here on YouTube because I think that people deserve to be warned about this airline company and to be able to make a better decision when booking a flight, that they might have to save a little extra money and not go with Frontier because of the prices of the flight. Because at Frontier Airlines, you really get what you pay for, and that is subpar service and treatment and experience. So I just want to warn y'all, so when you're planning your next trip, you can have that information. And if you have to fly Frontier, that's your only option, or financially that's the only option you have, please show up 4 to 5 hours sooner, because they have probably overbooked the flight, and you are probably one of the 10 to 15 people that they have overbooked so that they can continue to charge people money. I think it's a huge scam, and I think that's what they're doing, is they're overbooking these flights and then still getting that money from people, and then people are paying for new flights. So it's just a huge money-hungry scam. It's disgusting. It's frustrating. It causes so much anxiety. People have to get to important things, funerals, weddings, medical emergencies. People have to fly to so many things, their job. So just pay attention to that on your next time you fly. Hope y'all enjoyed the tea about Frontier Airlines, and hopefully this helps y'all out anytime you have to make a decision about a flight. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye.